Hi, I'm Danny Clark with Collectors Firearms. This is my assistant, Josh Martinez. Today we are featuring a really great gun. This is a factory engraved #3 Belt Model Paterson. The engraved Patersons are a rarity, among a rarity in collecting of Colts. Patersons were the earliest made guns. It was made by Colt Firearms in Paterson, New Jersey, and collectors started calling them Colt Patersons early on, probably in the 1930s, because they were made in Paterson, New Jersey. The Belt models are the medium-sized guns. There was two models of the Belt models. They had a number 2 and a number 3. The number 2 Belt models did not have the flared grips like this one is. The number 3s had flared grips. There were only 800 or so of these guns made in this series, and the survival rate was not very good on them. I don't know the exact numbers, but my guess is it's probably somewhere around 35%. I've probably owned, in my 25 years in the business, somewhere around 50 or so of the Belt models. Now, on factory engraved Belt models, this is my third that I've owned. Now, so that's already really, really cool that it's a factory engraved Paterson, but this thing gets even cooler. What you have here is 2 vignettes, and I've seen on Paterson engraving where there's been 1 vignette, but I've never seen one with 2. So the first vignette is right behind the trigger guard, the trigger. And the second vignette is right here, and it's of a lion. This is also a factory inscribed Paterson, and it says right here, Lewis L. Squire, New York. And then you have Squire here. And Lewis L. Squire was a wealthy merchant in New York City who had outfitted ships. His home that he had still stands today. The last time it changed hands, which was in the early 2020s, it brought over $20 million. But you have scroll engraving on the sides, you have silver bands right here. A lot of Patersons have silver bands at the muzzle as well, but not all. So this is on the recoil shield and on the barrel. And then you have shell checkered ivory grips. And you have engraving on pretty much every part of the Paterson. On Patersons, the trigger guard dropped when you cocked it. And you even have engraving on the hammer right here. This is a great gun and a true rarity in Colt collecting.
I was going to ask, so this is a rare piece right here.
Yeah, only a handful were done. I don't know if anybody's actually figured out how many Patersons were factory engraved. My guess is there's probably 25 to 30 known samples, but of those, only a handful are in private hands.
And what circa years is this?
These were made 1837 to 1840. And this was Sam Colt's first venture into gun manufacturing. He went bankrupt and tried to figure out what he was going to do, and tried launching a few different ventures before he got back into the gun business in 1847 with the Colt Walker.
Are this is the only model that they have, or they get bigger, or?
So there's 4 models. You have the baby Paterson, which was a 28 caliber. You have the Belt models, which was the 2 and 3. Those were 31 caliber. And then you have the number 5 holster model, or what they call a Texas Paterson, which was 36 caliber. There's not a number 4 designation. I have heard where the Ehlers Patersons, which were assembled after the bankruptcy, a investor in the Colt Paterson factory named John Ellers bought all the inventory and assembled the rest of the parts and made them with loading levers, and I've heard some people call that the number 4.
And this is all hand engraved at the factory, like you said, correct?
Yes.
Would this be personalized to the gentleman whose name's on here?
This is the only one I have owned that has been inscribed to the owner. I haven't seen that on another Paterson. The only Patersons that I've had before that were identified were inscribed on the case, but I've never seen one on the gun.
Do these guns bring more of a premium?
Huge premium because of the factory engraving and also that it's identified. You know, it's not to somebody who was, you know, some huge military veteran, but he was certainly a very prominent New Yorker at the time, and you know, a guy who could afford this gun. This was an expensive gun back in its day.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me. That's a really cool piece here.
You're welcome.